the ENVi Thermostatic Electric Shower System. This guide will cover the 4 parts of the installation process: installing the Tri-Hub, shower installation, controller installation, and controller commissioning. Before you get started, it's important to note that the Tri-Hub must be mounted on an even vertical surface, otherwise its built-in sensors will prevent it from working. When you position it, make sure there's enough room to install the elbows or straight connectors at the bottom. The Tri-Hub should be installed within 3 meters of the water outlet in the shower area. The controller is connected to the Tri-Hub with a 10-meter data cable that provides allowance for routing. We recommend that a user of the shower should be able to safely turn off the shower when using it. Once you've picked a location for the Tri-Hub, remove the front cover by loosening the 4 retaining fixing screws. Position it on the wall and use the backplate enclosure as a template to mark the fixing position holes. Drill and plug your holes in the wall, then secure the Tri-Hub. Make sure you don't use any adhesives or any other substrate to fix it to the wall. Follow the instructions supplied in the individual accessories pack to install all the shower accessories and complete all the necessary plumbing pipework. Make sure any soldering is done away from the Tri-Hub so that the heat doesn't travel along the pipework and damage any of the components. And before you connect it to the plumbing, flush out the pipework for around 60 seconds to remove any swarf or debris. Now that the Tri-Hub is mounted to the wall, it's time to connect the plumbing pipework. When you're tightening all of the pipe connection fittings, be careful not to over-tighten them. Compression fittings or demountable push-fit fittings can be used on the inlet and outlet of the Tri-Hub. Then turn on the mains water supply and check the pipes for leaks. At this point, water can't actually flow through the Tri-Hub. To connect the electric supply, route the electricity supply cable through the cable entry grommet and into the Tri-Hub. Then insert the conductors into the relevant positions on the terminal block. Double check that the earth conductor is sleeved and that the outer sheath of any conductor is stripped to a minimum. Tighten the terminal block screws fully and make sure that none of the cable insulation is trapped underneath them. If you have any loose connections, it can result in the cable overheating. Make sure you don't switch on the electricity supply to the Tri-Hub at this stage. Next, you'll need to connect one end of the data cable to the connector. It's on the printed circuit board in the Tri-Hub. Once it's in place, use this clamp and these screws to make sure it's secure. It's important to install the battery the right way, otherwise the commissioning procedure can't be carried out and the Tri-Hub won't be able to monitor for freezing conditions. Thankfully, it's pretty straightforward. The button battery is supplied in the pack. Pop it into the battery holder on the printed circuit board with the plus terminal facing this way. All that's left to do now is refit the front cover of the Tri-Hub and secure it with the 4 retaining fixing screws. You'll need the following tools and components for this shower installation: the diverter valve, lower shower arm, top fixing, top shower arm, shower head holder, hose retainer, both shower heads, the long and short hoses, and the bulkhead. Mark the wall where you want to fit the diverter fixing bracket, then drill and plug the wall. It should ideally be in the center of a tile and not in the grouting. Remove the diverter fixing bracket from the diverter valve and secure it to the wall using the fixing screw. Mark the position 728 mm from the diverter bracket, making sure that the centers are aligned vertically. Drill and plug the wall at this position, then secure the shower arm fixing bracket to the wall using the fixing screw. It's also important to check that the grub screw is pointing downwards. Take the hose retainer and insert it into the lower shower arm. Then pop the shower head holder on there too. This can be positioned so that the shower head can go either side of the shower arm. The top shower arm can only be assembled one way, so make sure that its flat face is lined up with the shower arm holder and fit them together. Then connect the lower shower arm to the other end by rotating it onto the threaded spigot. Hand tightening is enough to seal the two together. Finally, tighten the grub screw, which is inside the shower arm holder, to lock the top shower arm in place. Slide the diverter valve onto the valve fixing bracket and partially tighten the 2 grub screws on the underside. Leave some wriggle room for now so you can adjust the valve when fitting the shower arms. Place the 24 by 3mm rubber seal on top of the threaded diverter valve spigot. Then connect the lower shower arm to the diverter valve, but don't fully tighten the threaded nut at this point. Pivoting the shower arm slightly away from the wall, slide the stem of the shower arm holder into the shower arm fixing bracket. Make sure that the shower arms are vertical, then hold them in place and fully tighten the threaded nut on the diverter valve. You'll also need to fully tighten the grub screw in the shower arm fixing bracket, as well as the 2 grub screws on the underside of the diverter valve. Screw the adapter to your pipework. The following are typical thicknesses and are given as a guide only. Tile 6 to 10 mm, adhesive 2 to 3 mm, plasterboard 9.5 to 12.5 mm, plaster finish 2 to 3 mm, maximum tile thickness to be 10 mm. It's worth noting that while this guide doesn't cover it, if you're installing into a stud partition or another hollow wall structure, you may want to build rear supports or other options for fitting the mounting plate. Fit the trim onto the bulkhead body and push past the grub screws. Loosen the grub screws with the supplied Allen key, then fit the bulkhead into the adapter and re-tighten the grub screws. You'll need to seal around the adapter to stop water from getting into the wall cavity. Push the trim back so that it's flush to the wall. Attach the fixed head to the top shower arm. Fitting the Duelec kit hoses. Uncoil both hoses and set aside the longer hose. Insert a seal into each conical nut at either end of the shorter hose. Connect one end of the hose to the shower unit and then connect the remaining end to the front threaded inlet port of the Duelec diverter. Feed the longer shower hose through the hose retainer. Insert a seal into each conical nut at either end of the hose. Connect one end of the hose to the shower head and place in the shower head holder. Then connect the remaining end to the rear threaded outlet port of the Duelec diverter. It's really important that you check the shower head hose is connected to the outlet at the back on the underside of the diverter valve connector. Just make sure that you remove the shower head and fixed head until the ENVi thermostatic electric shower system has been commissioned. When it comes to the placement of the ENVi controller, make sure it's at least a meter away from the base. For your controller, consider how you're going to route your cables and the clearance you need below so that you can get a screwdriver in there. Once you have a location for the fixing bracket, hold it in position and mark the top and bottom screw fixing holes. Then remove the bracket from the wall and drill and plug the wall for your fixings. Apply a small bead of silicone sealant around the 30mm hole. This will help you seal the bracket to the wall. Secure the fixing bracket to the wall using the appropriate fixings. You also need to pull the data cable through so that roughly 150mm of it protrudes from the wall for easier connectivity. Connect the data cable connector socket from the ENVi controller to the data cable that's sticking out of the fixing bracket. Take care not to damage the locking tab of the data cable connector. Pop any excess cable through the hole of the fixing bracket so that it goes back into the wall cavity. Line up the fixing lugs on the back of the ENVi controller with the lugs on the bracket, then offer it up to the bracket before sliding it upwards to engage the fixing lugs. Insert the fixing screw into the bottom of the controller and tighten it without over-tightening. Make sure you don't turn on the electricity supply to the Tri-Hub until you're ready to start commissioning it. It's recommended that the outlet connections and plumbing are checked for any water leaks during the commissioning process. You might need to get someone else to help with this. This must be done from the controller and not in the loft. Resolve any leaks or plumbing issues and, after fixing, repeat the commissioning process to be confident that the pipework and water connections do not have any water leakage. The ENVi shower system can be purchased with a variety of different shower kits and fixed head options. Whichever you're installing, always ensure that any fixed head or shower head is removed for commissioning. Attach the appropriate end of the shower hose to the shower outlet with the supplied hose washer seal. Be careful not to over-tighten. Then position the other end of the hose in the bath or tray waste. Make sure that the electricity and water supplies to the Tri-Hub are on and the data cable is connected to both the controller and the Tri-Hub. Then touch the start-stop icon. The Triton logo will briefly appear before being replaced with the instructions to start the commissioning process. The first stage of the commissioning process is to set the default showering temperature. This sets the target showering temperature when no user profile is selected whilst showering. Touch the circular symbols under the left and right chevrons to set the desired temperature. Then touch the circular symbol under the tick to set the temperature. The next stage is to set the default showering time, which is the duration of the shower timer, after which the Tri-Hub will automatically enter phased shutdown and go into standby. Touch the circular symbols under the left and right chevrons to set the desired time. The time changes in 30-second intervals. Then touch the circular symbol under the tick to set the time. The last part of the commissioning process is to start the ENVi Thermostatic Electric Shower System's automatic commissioning process. Touch the circular symbol under the tick to start the commissioning. The back symbol will take you back to the first stage of the process. The system will now prime with water and undertake an important routine to prepare the Tri-Hub for use. Keep in mind that water flows through the system during this stage. The display on the ENVi controller will change to show the progress. It'll take around 2 minutes to complete. Make sure you don't prematurely terminate the commissioning process. The ENVi controller will display a message when complete before reverting to standby. Now that you've finished commissioning, reattach any fixed and shower heads. Start the ENVi Thermostatic Electric Shower System and check the connection for water leakages. For further details on use and customization, refer to the ENVi user guide. Your ENVi Thermostatic Electric Shower System is now ready to use.